Hi, everyone. I'm Rosemary Miller here with Janet Ruiz, the Director of Strategic Communications at the Insurance Information Institute, here to tell us about the challenges facing insurances and property owners after the Maui wildfire. Thank you so much for joining me today, Janet.
Thank you, Rosemary.
So, Janet, is there any preliminary sense of how much the wildfire is likely to cost Maui in terms of property and casualty losses?
Well, first, I'd like to say that our hearts and prayers go out to the folks in Maui. I've worked in the insurance industry for so many years and helped people recover after catastrophes. And it is a journey, but insurance is the financial recovery, and we're so glad that we can be a part of the rebuilding. That said, you asked about what the disaster looks like. It is early, but we've heard the numbers. About 2,200 homes and businesses were destroyed or damaged by the fire. And we have Karen Clark and Company, which is a very reputable forecaster, saying that it looks like it could be about $3.2 billion in insured losses. We've also heard from Moody's that it might be 7 billion in economic losses, which would be infrastructure and things that aren't necessarily an insurance related loss.
And when we hear $3.2 billion, that sounds like a lot of money. That's a lot of money to me. But then we think of Katrina, which was around $170 billion. So how much is
Mhm.
$3.2 billion actually?
Well, it is a large number, and again, it is a forecast. However, wildfires do tend to be less expensive than hurricanes, generally speaking. They're usually more consolidated. It's homes, some businesses, and, rebuilding, say 2,200 businesses and homes, whereas hurricanes will go across several states. There's, thousands of buildings that have at least partial damage. So hurricanes and wildfires do tend to be different. We did have our largest structure wildfire was the Camp Fire back in 2018 in California, in Paradise, California area. And that was about, I think, 10 billion. So that was the first time we really approached hurricane type numbers in the wildfire catastrophe realm.
So could you tell me what's typically covered by FEMA and what's the responsibility of private insurers?
Yes, I'd be happy to go over that. And let me just say that the important thing to do for those who have been affected by the wildfires is to put in their insurance claim and also apply for FEMA assistance. FEMA has sent people over there. They have areas set up that are, easily or somewhat easily accessible by the residents and the people who've had losses. They'll be in areas where the most people are, so they'll be in Honolulu as well as on the island of Maui because some people are displaced. So those FEMA people can help you. You can also go online and apply for FEMA assistance. That said, you should also be, if you have insurance for your home or a renter's insurance policy, you should also be putting in the claims to your insurance company. We understand you don't know what all your damages are at this point, but usually the first thing that people start collecting is additional living expense. You've been displaced. You may have to be in a hotel temporarily. You may have to find housing for a year or two if you're going to rebuild your home. So put your insurance claim in. Now, you asked, how does FEMA work with their assistance? One thing that they always stress on their website and their information packets is they don't duplicate payments. So once all this starts getting sorted out, if you're going to get paid for additional living expenses from your insurance company, then you wouldn't get a duplicate payment from FEMA. But you sort that out as you go. FEMA is there especially to assist those who don't have any funding for that temporary housing. And then the other resource that is kind of part of the FEMA process is the Small Business Association. We call it SBA. They will offer loans. So those who don't have insurance or don't have enough insurance to rebuild their business or their home can also take out very low interest loans from the SBA as the process goes on and they find out what types of damage they have and what they're going to need to rebuild.
Well, Janet, I want to switch gears a bit and talk about how can property owners protect themselves from developers and realtors looking to buy their land?
Well, that's not so much an insurance question, but let me try to, answer that as best I can. It's very important for people to think about what they want to do. So if you want to keep your property and rebuild, it's a journey. It's a lot of work to find the contractors, get the supplies, do all the new plans, etc. But if you're committed to it, you can certainly do it. And I've worked on a lot of catastrophes all over the country, and a lot of people come back and rebuild because they love the area they're in. So it's going to take some time. It takes a lot of patience. Being on an island has its own logistics, but it does take that commitment to rebuild. And we've already seen the signs. Maui strong. There's a large group of people who really want to come back and rebuild and keep the properties for themselves. And in those cases, if it's financial concerns, really do take advantage of any FEMA assistance, Small Business Association loans, work with, a group of people. We often see communities come together and kind of put their resources together to rebuild. And I see the people of Maui being those type of people who will really come together if they want to keep the property in their family and their businesses. So those the working together really does make a difference, and you do have the option to keep your land, to rebuild. It's important to make that commitment if that is what you want to do.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Janet.
Thank you.